hadn't quite had the results we wanted earlier in the year. To have a little bit go our way and take the win here has given us a lot of confidence to catch back up to, you know, Francesco and Iehl.
We are going to try to fight until the last moment to get a little closer to have a chance in Malaysia.
I think we're the only one really with a whole set of good results going into Bermuda, so it takes the pressure off us a little bit and actually puts it back on some of the other guys.
Welcome to Bermuda, the jewel of the Atlantic. A paradise renowned for its pink sandy beaches and idyllic climate. Bermuda provides for both leisurely activity and relaxation. At its heart lies the country's capital, the city of Hamilton. Here you'll find a wealth of historical buildings, as well as shops and museums, and of course, Hamilton's beautiful natural harbour. And it's here that the world's best match racing teams congregate for the Argo Group Gold Cup. This is the 7th stage of the ISAF World Match Racing Tour, where 24 teams will be sailing international one-design sloops as they compete for the $100,000 prize purse. Match racing is an intricate game of rules and tactics, but with the basics, here's Andy Green.
Match racing is the most gladiatorial sailing discipline. It pits two boats against each other on a very short racecourse. The two teams battle for advantage during a 4-minute period before the start gun, then sail upwind to the top mark where they hoist spinnakers. Turning back downwind onto the run to the leeward mark, the spinnakers must be dropped for the second lap. The races usually last 2 or sometimes 3 laps, and the action is umpired on the water using a system of flags. Each boat is assigned a colour, either blue or yellow, and the sailors raise a red and yellow flag to protest if they think their opponent has broken a rule. The umpires announce their decision, raising the appropriate blue or yellow flag to signify the boat that has offended. If a red flag is raised as well, it means the infringement is more severe and the penalty, turning the boat through 3/4 of a circle, must be taken immediately. Otherwise, the penalty can be taken any time before the finish. The first to cross the finish line is the winner.
The Argo Group Gold Cup is the penultimate event on the World Series. And with few points separating those at the top of the table, this event could see yet another reshuffle on the tour leaderboard. As ever, the tour card holders will be looking to secure points here in Bermuda to help them win the world title, and all 9 of them will be at this event. But the competition will be tougher than ever. A total of 24 teams are invited to compete for the coveted King Edward VII Gold Cup. Event chairman Brian Billings has seen newcomers and old-timers alike laying claim to the oldest match racing trophy in the world. He's convinced that this event could see some classic underdog victories.
We have been unique since we started doing the Gold Cup within its present format way back from the 1980s, when as opposed to a 12 skipper event, we went to 24. In the other tour events, you have the skippers who've been playing against each other. They all know their own tactics and they all know their psychological issues that each person has, but we throw in a surprise element the young sailors, and all of a sudden they've never sailed, they don't know what they're like, they don't know how good they are, they don't know what they're thinking. So it provides a tremendous challenge for everyone and an exciting time for all.
So if it's the more experienced match racers that need to watch out, then Peter Gilmour will certainly be on his toes. He's lifted the cup here 3 times and knows the racecourse and the boats better than anyone.
This event is very special because of the boats. The old heavy bilge keel style of boats, the old meter style is really what it's all about, as opposed to sort of high performance thin keeled boats. I think one of the interesting elements also is the weather conditions that you get here, because it's just a point out here in the Atlantic and weather conditions roll over the top of it like crazy. You'll see vastly different techniques being used. Some races there's an absolute sweet spot where you must hit on the race course to be able to win that race, and so typically it's a race for the first boat to get to that sweet spot as opposed to covering each other. In other races it becomes a full-on head-to-head, real toe-to-toe kind of racing, and then there are other ones where, you know, just funny little quirks where you'll get a massive puff come out from behind, someone opens their door up in one of the buildings and suddenly a puff of wind will blow through the building, and you know you're off and back into the race. It's coming down to the wire for the World Championship now. I think that there are probably 5 or 6 teams that are in the hunt, and certainly if you could say take a win away from here or win away in Malaysia, I think any of those teams would probably win the World Championship. This is going to be a World Championship shaping event.
We squeezed onto the International One designs during practice to find out how they handle.
These boats are interesting insofar as the rudder is effectively a trim tab off the back of the keel. You turn the tiller across on these boats, turning the rudder, and what happens is that the boat ends up a very slow arc turn. So a real nuance of them is thinking a long way forward of your manoeuvres and knowing what you're going to do. As soon as you start to try and do some tight turns, you've lost the game. You're no longer in the money.
My name's Simon Shaw, the newest recruit to YANMAR Racing. When you're trying to do a pre-start or coming into a top mark, there's nowhere really to hide. You have to have everything right, and if you make a single mistake, you'll be punished, you know, very badly for it. And I'm hoping that coming into this regatta, us old hands will be able to catch out some of these young kids, but we'll see how we get on.
The boat is well balanced. The mainsail itself is quite large, and in strong breezes, it really requires you to have them trimmed particularly well. Fortunately, I've got Yaji at the back of the boat here swinging off the main sheet, so I think he's probably the strongest main sheet trimmer in the fleet.
My name is Yasuhiro Yaji from Japan. Normally I'm doing pit and tailing, but this boat is main sheet trimmers need more muscle. That's why I'm take on this part of crew position.
The jibs are really interesting. Getting them set up and getting jib balance exactly right. They take a lot of technical effort. I mean, Thierry's working on it the whole time.
My name is Thierry Douillard, I'm jib trimmer. This is a typical boat for this place in Bermuda. It's quite unusual and quite funny because it's quite heavy boat. And but we have many things to play on the sails, and so it's quite interesting.
Well, this is the classic symmetric spinnaker. The spinnaker is sometimes very highly loaded in strong breezes, so you often see quite fascinating manoeuvres coming into the bottom mark with spinnakers still up and the like.
So after a good practice on familiar waters, it's on to the qualifying stage for Peter Gilmour and his team. Join us after the break. We're into the penultimate stage of the ISAF World Match Racing Tour, and the World Championship title is tantalisingly close. All of the tour card holders embarked on this series with their eyes on the ultimate prize, to be crowned World Champion. But the key to match racing is to keep focused and take each race as it comes. Keep sight of the end goal, but don't lose focus on the here and now. We've seen an array of teams taking to the podium throughout the last 6 events. But there can only be one champion, and it's been a close battle all season. As we near the Monsoon Cup, there are 4 big contenders in with a shot. Peter Gilmour with YANMAR Racing. Gilmour has yet to win an event this year and has struggled all season, making just one podium finish at Match Race Germany. He finds himself in 4th place on the Tour leaderboard. Ahead of him is Torvar Mirsky and the Wave Muscat. Mirsky won the last event, the St Moritz Match Race, and had a podium finish at Match Race France. He's creeping up the Tour leaderboard and is only 6 points away from the top spot. Next up is Francesco Bruni and Bruni Racing. Bruni had a strong start to the season with a win at Match Race Germany, followed by 2 seconds. But he's starting to struggle and needs to get another podium finish under his belt. Ian Williams and Team GAC Pindar are leading the pack with 90 points. He's had 2 wins already and has been a strong contender throughout the year. He's the man to beat here in Bermuda and will need to hold his own if he wants to keep his place. The top contenders will need to perform to their best, because if they don't make a podium finish here, they could lose their chance of winning the World Championship title. Ahead of the regatta, the teams attended the opening ceremony at the Bacardi headquarters to sample some cocktails and contemplate the importance of the week ahead.
The Gold Cup is crucial because it's the second to last event. The leaderboard is really tight up the top, and for us to keep in touch with Williams and Bruni, we really need a good result here to have a chance at the final in the Monsoon Cup.
We realise this is our chance. We've got to really hit the high notes here. Certainly would have to finish in the top 3 to really have ourselves in the hunt going into Monsoon Cup.
It's our last chance to break it into the top 4 right now. We're struggling a little bit at the 8th position, and every single point we can take with us is going to go good for us in the end.
It's a 24 team, so it's easy to come outside the top 10, really easy, and so it's a really tough event, and generally there's quite a few wildcards that sneak in there into the top 8. So yeah, it's hard, and it's some big points up for offer and some teams that will go away with no points. So the leaderboard can change quite a lot, and for us, we're hoping for big points and everyone else for no points. So that's what we're going for.
For us, getting into the top 8, it's really important. We're going to struggle really tough to get there.
The Argo Group Gold Cup is unique in its format. The teams are split into 3 groups. The top 2 from each group go straight through to the quarter-finals, with 3rd and 4th place teams battling it out in the Repercharge round for the last 2 places. As predicted, there were some fierce battles between the top seeds and the less experienced contenders. With some of the tour card holders struggling, they desperately needed to win their remaining races to make it into the Repercharge. For Peter Gilmour, it was a do-or-die situation for his last few races.
Today was an important day for us. We had to do a fair bit of winning, and the first race we sailed well against Johnie Bertnsson, and we were sailing particularly well, about 10 boat lengths in front of him, and then out of the blue we got a penalty from the umpires and didn't know what it was for, and then found out that one of the boundary marks, exclusion zones, had drifted and we'd gone past it, and so they penalised us. We went down to the finish line, tried to get rid of the penalty, and you know, he beat us by half a boat length.
Gilmour won his next race against Phil Robertson, but he still needed to win his last match against Torvar Mirsky to stay in the game.
Gilmour definitely in a bit of trouble here, and it looks like he's tacking in front of Mirsky. Gilmour's got to try and get to the line. Can Mirsky avoid him? Oh, no, definitely not. Mirsky and Gilmour attach each other. Oh, and that's Graham Spence on the bow of Mirsky's boat falling in. Gilmour gets caught with a penalty. Bad news for Gilmour, because that looks like he's going out, and Mirsky sailing beautifully, taking that win easy, but it was all about the start, and Gilmour is out.
I mean, we're obviously disappointed to be going out. I guess it's not in our game plan to be doing that, but you know, somebody's got to go out, and you sort of live with that as a consequence.
So in fourth place on the tour leaderboard, Gilmour's early departure could ruin his world title hopes. At the end of the qualifying session, the results looked like this. Advancing straight into the quarterfinals from Group 1 was Stefan Lindberg and Jesper Radek. From Group 2, it was Torvar Mirsky and Phil Robertson. And from Group 3, Ian Williams and Mathieu Richard went through. So, in the Repercharge, fighting for the last 2 places in the quarterfinals, Damien Iehl, Eric Monner, Francesco Bruni, Bjorn Hansen, Johnie Bertnsson and Taylor Canfield. For the tour card holders, losing this round could see the end of their world title hopes. All of the teams raced each other once. Damien Iehl struggled in all of his races and came away with 1 win and 4 losses, sending him out of the competition.
My game is not very good, I'm not very happy, I'm a little disappointed, or big disappointed about my pre-start, my start and my sailing. When the match is very important, we lose the match, we don't arrive to push, it's not very good for us.
Francesco Bruni, Johnie Bertnsson and Bjorn Hansen all found themselves tied on 4 wins and 1 loss, which took them into a sail-off for the final 2 places in the quarterfinals. First up, Johnie Bertnsson raced Francesco Bruni. Berntsson earned himself a penalty in the pre-start, and we join Andy Green to see who would go through.
Bruni leading Berntsson in the pre-start. Berntsson holding a penalty as they come towards the line. Conditions 14 to 16 knots, but the crucial thing about Hamilton Harbour here, as the gun goes and Bruni crosses at the pin end of the line, is that it's very shifty and very puffy. As Bruni gets a shift immediately off the line, he tacks. Bruni and Berntsson both going towards the right-hand side, but it looks like as they come back to the left, the right-hand side has been favoured. Berntsson is to windward. He is closer to the wind, and he looks like he's pushing Bruni. Look at the puff of wind as it comes through on the water. You can tell by the slightly darker water, the ripples that the wind makes. And the sailors are looking for that not only in strength, but in direction as well, to give them an idea of where the next shift is to get them to the next mark quick. Bruni being pushed out by Berntsson. The windward mark way out to the right-hand side. This is great news here for Berntsson, because if he can stay ahead of Bruni, at least he has a chance of pushing Bruni back far enough so that he can do his penalty. If it remains close, maybe Berntsson can get a penalty on Bruni and equalise the scores. blue flag sitting ominously on board the back of the umpire boat, reminding Berntsson that being ahead just isn't enough. There's the windward mark. Puff on Bruni, didn't quite release the main sheet quickly enough. Fantastic conditions on Hamilton Harbour for the Bermuda Gold Cup. This is the Repercharge round. It's all important as they come in towards the finishing line. This is the final downwind. Look, Berntson's taking his spinnaker down. He's going to do his penalty around the pin end of the line. And here comes Bruni with his red spinnaker up. He's in a big puff as the boat slews left to right. The death roll, it's called. Here goes Berntsson doing his penalty. It's going to be close as they go. There's the finishing line, right on the finishing line. Wow. Berntsson, that looks like Berntsson takes it by maybe 2 feet. The cheers on board the Swedes boat.
Francesco Bruni desperately needed to win against Bjorn Hansen to hold on to his world title hopes. He won the start and converted it into a comfortable lead, winning the race. So Johnie Bertnsson went straight into the quarter-finals after beating Francesco Bruni. Bruni then defeated Bjorn Hansen, taking the remaining spot. They'd made it through to the knockout stages, but there was still a long way to go. Welcome back to the Argo Group Gold Cup. With the Repercharge sailed, it was time for the knockout rounds, starting with the quarter-finals. The boat pick took place on the water. Ian Williams was first to select his opponent, and he chose to race Phil Robertson.
Phil is obviously a great up-and-coming talent on the World Match Racing Tour. He's had some good results recently. He's done a lot of sailing in the last few weeks.
Oh, he's a very difficult opponent. I think he's been around a very long time and we're quite new to the game, so he's very tough and he's been on fire the last few events, so he's going to be a hard one to beat.
Phil Robertson proved to be the stronger performer for the first 2 races, winning them both. Williams would have to dig deep to come back from 2-0 down.
I think the key moments of the last race was we had a really good start with speed and kind of sailing the lifted tack off the line, and we managed to get up to him and around him, and unfortunately we didn't really nail our lay line at the top, and it came right for us right at the end though, and we managed just to cross him right at the top mark at the first time.
He got a lift pressure at the same time as we got a headed knock, literally a boat length away from him, and he gained a length or more than a boat length in the space of about 5 lengths.
The young Kiwi Phil Robertson and his team doing very nice work against Ian Williams. 2-0 up already. Williams trailing on the first downwind of what is a must-win race. As Williams gets hit by a big puff of breeze. Oh, he's rounding down. This could be dangerous for Williams. And Robertson's going as well right in front of him. What a huge puff of breeze. This could turn it all around. Williams keeps it under control. Robertson actually jibed, potentially got himself in big trouble, but on the final downwind, Robertson stays ahead, and this is a big upset as Williams goes out.
Yeah, we're obviously over the moon and very happy with the way we sailed this afternoon. We nailed almost every shift and couldn't have gone wrong really, so we're, as you say, ecstatic.
We're very disappointed. We came here with high hopes. We thought we could win the regatta, but in the end, Phil Robertson did a great job. All credit to him. He just sailed better than we did.
Yeah, by doing what we just did, I think it means for everyone else and for ourselves, I guess, it just opens the championship up a lot more. And I think for the winning spot now, it's going to be wide open and the points are going to close up, and it's going to make the Monsoon Cup a lot more exciting, I'd say.
So with Williams going home, Francesco Bruni and Torvar Mirsky had a real chance to catch him up on the tour leaderboard. Next up to race was Johnie Bertnsson, and he faced Stefan Lindberg.
I think if we can continue the good mood we had, Stefan's going to have to sail really well to beat us. So we're really looking forward to it.
Johnie showed his dominance over the Finnish skipper and won his quarter-final 3-1.
We're happy about beating Stefan Lindberg. He did a really good job, and he was leading us, and we had to pass him in 2 races to win, and yeah, we're happy about that. We need a rest now and get ready for the semis tomorrow.
The third quarter-final pairing saw Jesper Radic racing Torvar Mirsky. Despite Radic's strong track record at the Argo Group Gold Cup, he failed to win a single race, and Mirsky wiped the board with 3 straight wins.
To get up on the scoreboard is hugely important for us to have a chance at the title, and semi-finals is on track for that. So beating Jesper and getting through this quarters is a really big feat for us, and we're really happy about that. You know, you never know what's going to happen here, and we're just going to see who else made it through, and I'm sure it's going to be really tough.
We had pretty good hopes going into it, but fact was we raced against a better team. You know, another day would have been a different result perhaps, but today was pretty clear, and Torvar and his team were better.
The last quarter-final pairing saw Francesco Bruni racing Mathieu Richard. Richard won the first race, and Bruni must have felt the pressure as an action-packed second match got underway.
In the pre-start, France against Italy, Mathieu Richard against Francesco Bruni. Richard 1-0 up, and those 2 boats definitely came together. I'm sure there's contact. What have the umpires got to say? Oh, it's blue. It's against Richard. He'll feel that was pretty harsh. But that gives Francesco Bruni a very nice lead at the windward mark. Here goes the spinnaker set. Bearing away. Oh, look at that. Bruni gets whacked on the head through the jibe, pulls himself back on board. Incredible.
I was untying the main sheet, looking the deck, and when I came with the head up, the boom was coming very fast towards my head, and I felt in the water. A dramatic moment for sure, but the good thing is that we react quickly, and I was back on board, and we won the race.
Their quarter-final continued late into the evening, and the action kept on coming.
Yeah, but this big collision, wrong choice from me, because I decided to try to pass behind him onto port, and he was starboard. But he decided that I would not pass.
We tried to avoid the contact, but we couldn't, so there was a big bang, and there was a penalty on him, so the race was kind of easy after that.
Unfortunately, there was damages on the boat, so the umpires decided that I had to have a 1-point deduction, so it cost me a lot, this collision.
So with Richard's point deducted, Bruni was in the lead on 2-1, and he managed to scoop a 3rd win that sent him through to the semi-finals.
We are super happy. To have these points for us is so important. We had a very bad couple of months in St. Moritz and Sweden. To be back on track, it's very important for us. It gives us confidence. To be in the top 4 means points, and points is all it matters.
Yes, this is a very disappointing result, and a bad result for us, because it was the last chance to come back in the tour ranking points. Yeah, so that's it. That's a very bad season for us this year, and another disappointing result, unfortunately.
So Richard went out of the competition early and would be severely lacking in tour points as a result. So it was an all-tour card holder semi-final, and it was crucial for the teams to give it all they'd got if they wanted to gain maximum points. It was on the penultimate day of the regatta that the semi-finals took place. Torvar Mirsky, Francesco Bruni, Phil Robertson and Johnie Bertnsson were all set to fight it out for a place in the finals. Torvar Mirsky selected Phil Robertson as his opponent.
Yesterday, Johnie Bertnsson and Francesco Bruni did a lot of racing with the Repercharge as well as the quarters, and Francesco's already been out today, so we thought that Phil doing the least, that might be our little logic on picking him.
Mirsky's choice of opponent went his way as he wiped the board. 3 straight wins and into the final.
It was really tough conditions out there, a lot of shifts, and you know, these boats are tricky to handle with your traveller, main sheet, you know, all the little controls. You know, making the final is exactly what we need to do to improve our chances for the World Championship. So just happy with that, and we're going to celebrate that a little bit today.
No, we're obviously a bit disappointed, but I mean, Torvar sailed really well and his team did a fantastic job of getting the lead and then just extending every race. So I mean, we didn't have an answer to it.
Next up, Francesco Bruni raced Johnie Bertnsson. Bruni needed to get through to the final to overtake Ian Williams on the tour leaderboard. So it was a tense semi-final, and Bruni was feeling the pressure. After 3 races, the score was 2-1 to Berntsson. We joined them for their 4th race.
Bruni and Berntsson in the pre-start, and Berntsson is 2-1 up, so this is must-win for the Italian team. Conditions just eased a little bit, more like 8 to 12, but it is very gusty and very shifty on the harbour. All about looking for the best veins of wind. 2 teams split. Bruni is going to tack back. He's now tacked twice in a short period, and that is within 40 seconds of the start. You don't want to do too many manoeuvres in these IODs. They're very heavy, take a long time to get up to speed. And Berntsson decides starboard is the right choice. Less tacks the better. Bruni ducks underneath just as the gun goes. Bruni definitely half a boat length behind, but he has got the right hand side. Yeah. Berntsson gets a nice puff as he comes off the line. Oh, bad news. Bruni forced to tack. Berntsson on board, gets another puff. Bruni gets the puff too, but doesn't quite handle it as well as Berntsson. Now both on port tack, and you can see the black boat just getting better pressure and better lift in the sails, pointing them towards the top mark, better than his Italian opposition. Better boat speed on Berntsson for sure. And as they come up to the windward mark, at 2-1 up, Johnie Bertnsson and his Swedish team have got to be happy. All they need to do, get safely around the windward mark, spinnaker up. Here we go on board. Pitman just pulling the guy on the left-hand side to ensure that the spinnaker sets properly. As they come down towards the finishing line, 15 boat length lead with only a few boat lengths to go. Berntsson takes it and takes the semi-final 3-1. No question he's happy about that. No question his crew are happy too.
We really let it go this one, and obviously I'm a little bit sad, the whole team is. But the reality is that we shouldn't be too much, because we are still gaining points on Williams, and the reality is that it's always going to be played in Malaysia.
So with Francesco Bruni out of the competition before the finals, he won't be reclaiming his top spot on the tour leaderboard. Join us after the break for the final of the Argo Group Gold Cup. The final day dawned with perfect sailing conditions, bright sunshine and a good breeze. And there were 2 finals to complete before the end of the day. Running alongside the World Match Racing Tour's Argo Group Gold Cup was the Renaissance Re Junior Gold Cup, a prestigious youth sailing event.
We have 17 sailors from 16 foreign countries joined up with 23 of our local kids, and it's been a great event so far. The standard of sailing is extremely high. We have a number of national champions in their own right, so it's been sort of like a mini Olympics. Today is sort of the culmination of everything. We have one race on the Gold Cup course. It's really special because the Argo Gold Cup has its own sort of atmosphere. The fact that they get to see some of their sailing heroes is a really big deal.
It's really fun because you get to meet new people and it's just fun to be out sailing and everything.
It's very nice to see all the kids again, and the sailing here is great with the nice weather and all.
I like racing against all the older people.
This strong wind is good training for me because in Singapore we have lighter winds.
It's just nice getting with people from all different countries, meeting them, and I'm just having a great time.
With the young optimist sailors looking on, Torvar Mirsky took to the water to race Johnie Bertnsson for the final of the Argo Group Gold Cup. Both were hungry for the event title, and it showed in an eventful first race.
Mirsky on port coming up to the windward mark. He just has to get around Berntsson, who's on starboard. But the mark very close. Here comes Berntsson. There's the windward mark. Can Mirsky get round? Well, not quite, but was Berntsson altering course? What do the umpires got to say about this as Berntsson mounts the stern of Mirsky's boat? Penalty against Berntsson. And Kinley Fowler hoisting the spinnaker. He was pretty confident that they were in the clear. Mirsky and his crew sail great, defend the lead, and take the win.
In their second match, Mirsky was late off the start line, which cost him the race, as Berntsson levelled the scores. With the pressure mounting, both teams were desperate to get another win on the board, and there was more drama in their third race.
In the pre-start with 42 seconds to go, Mirsky gives a big luff to Berntsson, and that was surely a collision. White flag comes out on Berntson's boat. Mirsky hollering too. Well, the umpires quite clear. Berntsson gets a penalty. Here goes the gun, and Mirsky's on port, so he has to keep clear. Bears away underneath Berntsson, so first blood to the man holding the penalty. Berntsson trying to extend all the time to give him enough room to be able to complete that penalty before the finish. Boat speed a premium, and Johnie Bertnsson just encouraging his crew, talking to them about how they're going to complete their penalty before Mirsky arrives at the finishing line. So spinnaker comes down, there's the committee boat, they've got to do a full turn. Now they're turning from starboard onto port, but they are at the favoured end, the committee boat end. Here comes Mirsky. Oh, Mirsky's on starboard. That's going to be their problem because Berntsson crosses the line, but there's a white flag. What do the umpires say? It's against Berntsson again. Penalties are his undoing so far.
Berntsson went on to level the scores yet again in the fourth race, taking it to a decider. Who would it be taking home the prestigious King Edward VII Gold Cup?
Well, this is it, folks. the 2011 Argo Group Gold Cup in Bermuda all comes down to the final race. Torvar Mirsky and Johnie Bertnsson tied at 2-2, and with 23 seconds to go for the start, it's all or nothing. Winner takes all. And Berntsson looks like he's a little behind in the pre-start, a little late for the start. Mirsky at the committee boat end looks to have a free run into the line. No penalties. The gun goes, Mirsky a couple of seconds back, but no sign of Berntsson. Mirsky tacks immediately. Berntsson about a boat length and a half behind, tacks away to try and get out of the cover. But Mirsky and his team put on. Berntsson now focusing on boat speed. There's a big split occurred on the course, and the shift's considerable here in Hamilton Harbour. Mirsky with a boat length and a half lead. Well, that's down to pretty much even, but the good news for Mirsky and his team are they're on the inside, their first attack for the committee boat for the final downwind to the finish. Berntson's got to keep it as close as he can. Mirsky done a nice job of squeezing a little gain. Now Spinnakers. Carl Langford on the bow and doing tactics. Mirsky comes down towards the finish. Looks like nothing's going to stop him now. Berntsson 3 lengths behind. Mirsky takes the title in a fantastic last race. Kept his cool all the way around the racecourse. He's happy, his crew's happy, and that's the second World Tour event in a row.
Torvar Mirsky takes his second event title in a row. A significant win for the Wave Muscat as they creep up the Tour leaderboard and blow the World Championship wide open.
This came from nowhere. Obviously over the moon with this result here. Never done that well in Bermuda, and haven't had many victories on the tour. A lot of good results, but never had any victories. So this is just so sweet right now to celebrate this with our team. I don't know how the points stand now, but I'm sure that we're really close to Iehl, and we have a very big chance for the world title in the Monsoon Cup. So we're just going to be fighting for that, trying to keep this roll going and hopefully win that event too.
The results at the end of the Argo Group Gold Cup saw some of the strongest contenders at the bottom of the pile. Peter Gilmour came 18th, and Damien Iehl also came outside the top 10 in 11th place. Ian Williams just made it into the top 8 in 7th position. The results at this event have opened up the World Championship to the top 4 tour card holders: Ian Williams, Francesco Bruni, Torvar Mirsky and Peter Gilmour. With 1.5 times the points on offer, the teams have everything to play for at the Monsoon Cup, the 8th and final stage of the ISAF World Match Racing Tour.